Hi, I'm Liz Larson.
And I'm Bill McKenna. We're the hosts of the New Life Perspectives radio show.
We're also the creators of the Cogno Movement System, where we help you rewire your nervous system so you can rewire your reality.
Join us each week for great conversations, amazing guests, and cutting-edge information on health, consciousness, and the keys to transformation.
And today, we're excited to announce that the New Life Perspective show is brought to you by BioHealthScan, offering you a better way to manage your health. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Liz Larson, and I'm here with my friend,
Bill McKenna.
Hey, Bill McKenna. And we have the great privilege of having one of our practitioners here from Australia. Her name is Lily Avalon. And she goes by Lily. She lets us call her Lily, which we love. And she said that the thing that she wants the world to know is how important it is for people in the helping trades, therapists, practitioners, to stay out of the story and to allow people to be in control of their own healing. And she said that is the most important message, which is an amazing message, isn't it, Bill McKenna?
Well, gosh, it certainly is. People all day long, for years, you hear about, well, I do this work, but it drains me. I have to drink afterwards, to calm down, all these things, what happened? What Lily, I like to call you Lilith. By the way, I love her last name. It's my favorite place in the world, Avalon. And
I know that your Cogno Movement balls have that as the trademark company too.
That's our company. It's named after Avalon. And so I was just so happy to see your last name. But this subject that Lily brought up is really makes, I believe, the work viable. Like you hear about people that have been in some sort of healing arts for a long time getting sick, but I believe that they simply started taking on other people's problems. You're listening to problems all day, but one of the things that I find just amazing is that as Cogno Movement practitioners, because of this simple skill, and it is a skill, it's a learned skill, that instead of needing a drink after helping somebody, you're absolutely filled with energy and joy. It's like so fun. It's so funny, but you were engaged with somebody who has a horrible trauma. It's like, how could that be fun? Well, you helped them out of the hole, you pulled them out of the mud, and they're filled with happiness and joy. And that only adds to your thrill of and satisfaction, really purpose-driven life. So this episode, I think, is really so important. And I love that you brought it up. I don't think we've ever had an episode on this subject.
No, I don't think we have either. And it is so important. And before we dig in and introduce Lily, I just want to say that even if you're not helping other people, and I have a feeling that very few people who listen to the show are not helping other people in some way, but even if you're not a professional, this concept is so powerful in our lives, staying out of other people's stories and letting them find their own solution. So with that being said, welcome, Lily Avalon. And please tell everybody who you are, what you do, what you're all about.
Thank you, Liz. I'm so happy to be here with you and Bill. As Liz said, my name is Lily. I work as an acupressure therapist and an energy healer. So a lot of my day is helping people through whatever's going on in their life, be it physical, emotional, relationships, etc. And I have recently come into being a practitioner for cognitive movement and found that it has just enhanced my ability to help people through a lot of different practices, but predominantly staying out of the story. So this is a very close to home subject to me.
So where are you in the world? Tell everybody that.
Yeah, I'm in Australia, in Brisbane, which is in sunny Queensland. So it's perpetually summer here. It's a beautiful place to be. But Bill was just commenting on how lovely all of the birds sound outside, very tropical. And I have a clinic in Brisbane CBD in South Brisbane, West End area. So it's a really nice clinic space, very close to all the groovy cafes and the river as well.
And you also have a background in psychology, correct?
I do, yes. So I studied psychology at Griffith University here in Brisbane, and I found that although psychology has some beautiful principles, I really enjoyed doing neuroscience and developmental psychology. It just, in a clinical setting, in working with people, a lot of the things that I was taught, such as CBT, were good, but they just weren't getting the results. So I started looking for other options as well. And that's how I fell into both acupressure and cognitive movement.
Yeah, I mean, you're a very integrative healer. You have a lot of skills under your belt, which is, a lot of times that's who's attracted to cognitive movement is the people who are already really accomplished at other things and they add this in. So let's dig in and talk about this topic, staying out of the story. So close to my heart too. What does that really mean to you?
To me, staying out of the story really means that I'm not getting emotionally invested in the roller coaster and feeling like I'm responsible for somebody else's journey. So that kind of looks like, or what it used to look like for me especially, is if somebody came to me with a story, be it a friend or a client, or a problem that they had, I would immediately start getting tight and feeling all their feelings and immediately start overthinking about, oh my God, what options do we have? What can I think about to solve this problem as quickly as possible? Because I'm uncomfortable now, as well as them being uncomfortable. And so it really takes a toll. I had noticed that, I would go home from work and I would still be thinking about the people that I had been helping during the day, going, oh, well, they also mentioned this and that thing in their life they could improve, and how could I get them to do this? And so it became quite overwhelming and took up a lot more time than it should, especially as a client, you're getting paid per hour and then suddenly you're working for them mentally for 5 hours. And I really noticed that it was, like Bill mentioned, starting to take a toll on me physically and emotionally. So I was becoming a little bit more uncomfortable with big things that people were coming to me with, such as complex PTSD or sexual assault, etc. Staying out of the story means being able to just come back into yourself and know that that's their story. This is your story. And being able to sit calmly in that space with them without taking on all their energy, without feeling everything they feel, or at least thinking that you are. And just allowing them that space. You're basically holding space for them instead of sitting in it with them. So that's what it means to me.
So what do you feel like staying out of the story means to everybody else? Like having somebody hear that saying, well, they're saying stay out of the story. What do you think they're hearing? What do you think it means?
Not adding to the story. So not interjecting their version of someone else's reality and telling them where to go, what to do, how to do it, or their opinion of whoever's involved in the story being the reality that the other person has as well.
And most people probably don't know this, but a lot of practitioners do have this expectation of the other person's outcome. Like, what you expect for them to achieve during the session. We know we're not supposed to, but we do. So what did that mean to you? Like having that expectation of them healing or changing or...
Oh, definitely. I had so many expectations on how their healing should go, especially because, I'm a bit of a nerd. So I have all the research of like, okay, well, this problem equals these things and it needs to go forward like this. And yeah, it was just making so many assumptions about people and how they should act and feel and do. And yeah.
So this is interesting, Bill. You and I, we have learned this lesson so many times, and we teach it so diligently to our practitioners about not putting on the other person what their outcome is or what their problem is. And we find how shocked we are at the end of a cognitive movement session about what the problem really was, right?
I just, it's absolutely confounding to hear what the actual problem is. I've had people that have a problem driving as an adult, driving a car as an adult, and they literally have to pull over to the side of the road and have somebody come and get them because it's raining, and they feel such overwhelm, and it came back to somebody looked in their window when they were a teenager in their home, and they called the police. I mean, what, how does, wait, no, it's like, how does that relate to that? Anyway, it's amazing how that things unwind, and the knowing, we always think we know. Oh, I know what your problem is. Oh yeah, your problem is you need to forgive somebody, and that's what we actually know. The problem is, something you couldn't even, a fear of fried chicken. It's just, who knows what it is. You can't even, like in your most wild dreams, if somebody gave you 1 million guesses, you would never, ever guess what the person needed in their life in that moment.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And for those of us who are intuitive as well, or even have strong psychic abilities, we will often think we feel what that person's problem is. We kind of have an idea, we know, right? And even with that, what we're doing is we're feeling the strongest pattern in their nervous system. That's the hit we're getting, right? And it'll often be the problem that exists in their life right now. But what cognitive movement practitioners do is we're following the pattern of the nervous system, and the nervous system always has an originating injury that everything else is built on. And that's how you get from I'm driving and I need picked up and I'm having so much anxiety to somebody looked in my window when I was 17, because there's this original insult to the nervous system that creates a feeling. And so when we learn how to completely stay out of the story and follow the pattern of the nervous system, we get these beautiful unfoldings. Like, my problem is my mom didn't give me a popsicle when I was 4, and the person's not only one problem collapse, but the lifetime of problems collapse around that too. So Lily, we have 2 minutes before the break, but I wanted to ask you, was this shocking to you the first time you experienced this?
It was actually. I think theoretically I knew that being in someone else's story was not the greatest choice. But when it was highlighted to me, and when you, through cognitive movement, gain those skills that you teach so well, you realize as you're going through this process with the first person normally, and staying out of the story, that person has all the tools and resources they need in order to correct or heal whatever is going on for them. instead of thinking I need all the degrees and I have to have all the knowledge. It's like you mentioned, the map is not the territory. So even if you do have an awareness of kind of what's going on, it's not what the person is experiencing. And you might never find that beautiful piece of gold hidden away in there that was the original thing that started all of that stack of problems.
Yeah, I think it's human nature. We try to relate, like, oh, I've had an experience like that before, so I know what you've been through. And you absolutely do not. You don't, because your experience is never going to be the experience of that original injury that they had. That gives them the framework for why they feel the way they do today. And so I think it's why so many therapies kind of do fall short, is because we're working in a more superficial way, unknowingly, when the nervous system is really the place that holds the keys. So let's take our first break and we'll hear from the good folks at the UK Health Radio Network. And when we come back, we'll just dig a little bit deeper into why allowing people to find their own answer is the best way to go and helps them get the greatest outcomes. So right now, let's hear from the good folks at the UK Health Radio. There are events that hype you up, and then there are events that recode you. CognoConscious is a 5-day immersive nervous system and consciousness reset. It is not a conference. It's not a seminar. It's an energetic experience where we use real techniques to shift your consciousness through your body, not away from it. This year, we're focused on one thing: helping you shift into 5D consciousness without leaving your body behind. You've heard the phrase that the planet is shifting. It is. But you can't ascend in fight or flight. You can't upgrade your reality if your body still thinks you're in danger. That's what makes this different. We don't just talk about high frequency. We create it in your field and unlock it in your nervous system. You'll feel the change happen. Everyone in the room is doing the work together. That's why we don't offer a live stream. The in-person energy of this event is what makes it so powerful. If you've been doing the work and still feel stuck, CognoConscious is where everything finally changes, where everything finally moves. Tickets are open now. Our Essentials course is required, but you can bundle them together. Get your link in the description and get your tickets today. Space is running out. All right, and we're back. We're here with Lily Avalon in Queensland, Australia, and we are talking about staying the heck out of the story to get the best results. So, Bill, what do you think about this? Allowing people to come to their own conclusion, finding their own answer versus providing them with the answer?
Well, this is the whole thing, back when we grew up, there was the psychiatrist's couch and they're like, and how does that make you feel? And, and the guy sitting there and, and how does that make you feel? And so, now the concept's new. However, what is vastly different is that with cogno movement, the people are accessing other parts of their brain. And what I mean by that is that we do these eye movements which help a person to access a part of the brain that they don't normally use. Now all of us have eye patterns. Meaning I look down to the left, I look down to the right. Even when you watch us do this interview, you're going to see Liz looking down to the right a lot. You're going to see me flashing over to my upper left and upper right like I do. Liz is very used to watching me do that, and it turns out that I'm simply accessing a certain part of my brain because everywhere I look is a different part of my brain. And we all have a pattern that we do. And that turns into what part of the brain is active and how I operate, what I feel in life. Do I feel dejected and like I'm never invited? Do I feel like, I feel like abundant and prosperous or whatever? They're all different parts of the brain. So anyway, this whole thing is interesting and pertinent because what we do in this modality is to find the area that eyes don't want to be, which is a part of the brain that is not really functioning in the optimal way with cogno. And so with that, these new ideas come to them. So it goes kind of double. It's like it's a double whammy. The person's going to come to their own idea of the solution because the area of the brain that they're going to access, they would never access because the eyes feel a lot of strain in certain positions. They feel a lot of blinking in certain positions. They call it nystagmus. And what we know is that is directly correlated to the part of the brain that has a problem emotionally, physically, whatever. So the problem and the solution are in the same place. And these persons are going to get all new ideas. And that's why when we're doing this, I'm like always aghast at the new idea because my idea is so different than what they need.
So Lily, what has your experience been with clients as you utilize this? What's been important about them coming to their own solutions?
Well, it's a hell of a lot less work for me, that's for sure. I can sit back and sort of observe the nervous system doing what it naturally is good at doing, and processing in those areas where Bill, mentioned that the nystagmus is, and it's quite a beautiful process. Instead of having to constantly be moving back and forward inside my own mind, thinking, okay, well, we're here and we've got to move here, and what do I got to say now? The backtracking works really well to stay out of the story because you're literally just repeating those important words so that the nervous system can hear itself and then go, okay, well, yes, that makes sense to me, or no, I'm going to correct that while it's processing in that spot in the eyes. So, yeah, it's a cool process to watch. I really enjoy it, and I think it's important because a lot of people, as they move through this process, they're more likely to be open to the solution that becomes available to them instead of me interjecting and jarringly making suggestions as well. So I find in the process, instead of me being like, have you tried this? Are we doing this? Or trying to sneakily kind of play mind games with them to get them to make a new realization. And that does jar the nervous system, I've noticed. Like sometimes they go, oh, no, I'm not ready for that. They're more likely to be like, oh yeah, it's my idea, so we're going to move forward with this.
Well, and there's nothing that I think feels better than that when all of a sudden you realize what the problem is and the solution shows up in your own brain.
Yeah.
Like you see the empowerment on the body. I mean, when I experience it myself, it's amazing because it opens up all these other ideas and avenues and it makes sense to me. It explains it to me. But when someone else gives me their answer, a lot of times myself personally, my body's like, oh, that doesn't feel good. And then I remember going to practitioners years ago and then feeling really bad because I couldn't really live up to the thing they wanted for me to do. Like I would put it on myself. Like that didn't work for me. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now what I know is they were going with what they thought they knew about me as a human, about what I wanted, about what the problem was. Now I know that as long as the nervous system knows what the problem is, and I can guide the nervous system to find its own answer, that they get that feeling of, yes, this is for me. Yes, this is me. Yes, this is my answer, right? The funny thing is they always feel like you're the most brilliant person on the planet and that you still gave them the answer, but you did not. And Lilith mentioned backtracking, and that's just a language pattern that we use of using the person's exact words, not interjecting. And I don't know about you, Lilith, but when I started really utilizing this in session, as a healer and as a person who wants to boss the universe, I would feel myself anxious during a session and almost feeling like a pushing feeling of this importance to get them the change they need that I think I know where it is. And when I started to employ these tools, I felt this such relaxation in my body and almost a sense of joy and wonder. And we teach be really curious about watching the system move. And it felt like as an empath and a healer myself, that my whole world opens up when I stay out of the story, let them find their own story and just be a guide. So I know you're a very intuitive, psychic person, empath as well. What does it feel like to you physically to do this work and to stay out of the story?
It is so beautifully energizing and relaxing, and I feel more connected to the person.
Me too.
I remember during our practitioner training, when you were teaching some of the backtracking, just how many people realized that they felt more connected to each other through this process than beforehand and not using those techniques. Like Nicole, I think it was, when she had her friend there for, I think it was 30 years they've been friends, and they said using that technique brought them even closer together. And it's so true, because we do relax our bodies and we become curious to the person sitting in front of us instead of the person we think is sitting in front of us. And we truly start to see them on a more real level for who they are and who they want to express themselves as. And I think that is absolutely magical.
So let's shift the conversation just a little bit about using it in everyday life. And I don't know that you've started doing this yet, but for me, because I'm a bossy Italian and want to boss the universe, I found that like people would come to me for advice, my friends and my family, and I would try to offer the advice I knew. They asked me, right? But the truth is, I didn't really want it. And I would be like, well, you asked me, I gave you the answer. Now, what are you doing? Right. And so I would again feel that kind of pushing feeling. Right. So now knowing this, I'm able to just sit back and relax. And if they ask me a question, I answer. If they use it, they do. If they don't, they don't. And I know they'll come to their own answer when they're ready. Like, I just don't feel compelled to, Superman the universe anymore, which feels great. Have you started utilizing it in your everyday life?
Yeah, and I don't feel so personally responsible for the people around me. I realized, like you, I can be a bit of a boss and I love things in order and I like people, making progress. I had a stint as a personal trainer many years ago, so I was very much into telling people repeatedly to do things. And yeah, it was interesting, the change with even some of the people, my friends, when they ask me advice, I would feel then responsible for that to turn out well. And if they made a choice and then I'll go, oh no, I told them the wrong thing, or oh gosh, like, oh, haven't done the thing I told them to, and it's not turning out well. So it's really made me much happier in my relationships as well. It's really beautiful. It truly is. Like, my life has changed so much since the time I've been using cognitive movement.
So, tell us about, you have so many good stories. By the way, Lily is just, what a joy to be around. By the way, if you just get a session just so you could be around her, because she's so awesome. It's entertaining. I gotta tell this funny story, because this just blew my mind. Lily flies in from Australia. We're having our practitioner training, the live portion. Obviously that's not all of the training, but just the live portion in San Diego. And I see her when she's checking in. She says, "Oh, yeah. it's great. I got in yesterday. Oh, really? Well, how was it? Just, oh, great. I spent time on my Airbnb on the patio, and there was a raccoon came by, and so I was petting the raccoon and feeding the raccoon, and I'm like, what the? I can't even. She's making it like a friend. It was beautiful.
Stop. Wait, stop, Bill. Back up. We couldn't hear any of that in your high register, completely cut out. So back up a bit. And she was petting the raccoon, and we got to stay in your lower register because your back the noise thing is cutting out.
So Lily is checked in and goes to her Airbnb. And when she goes to her Airbnb, she said, I was having a great time on my patio, and a raccoon came by. So I made friends with the raccoon and was petting the raccoon. And I'm like, I just can't even believe it. That's like, it was crazy for me. Somebody's making friends with a raccoon and petting it. And not only that, but she was also had, hummingbirds landing on her and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, okay, there's a, St. Francis reincarnated here. This is awesome. Anyway.
Snow White energy. She even looks like Snow White.
Yeah, exactly. Snow White is here. It was so awesome. Anyway, I know we got to take a break, but there are so many stories, and I want to get into it with Lily right here after our break with UK Health Radio sponsors. And we'll be right back. You're gonna want to stay with us and hear these stories.
Let's be honest. Do you find yourself saying, I've read all the books, I've done all the mindset work, I've taken all the classes, but I still have that same problem? I still feel like I'm reacting the same way. Still feel stuck in that same pattern? If so, you are not alone. This is exactly why Bill McKenna and I created the Cognitive Movement Essentials course. It's for the person who knows all the tools, who's done all the tricks, but it just doesn't seem to stick for you. This isn't another mental hack or feel-good workbook. It's a tool that rewires the signal in your nervous system, the part that keeps repeating that same emotional pattern, even when your mind knows better. Most programs do give you insight, but this one gives you the experience. You'll be guided through actual sessions right inside the course, not just told what to do later. You will begin starting to clear patterns in real time. If you've been stuck in shame or sabotage or cravings or overwhelm, or just feel like something deeper is still in control, this is where it starts to shift. The course is self-paced. It includes our private community. It comes with the official Cognival, so you can actually get started and do the work. And here's the biggest difference about Cognitive Movement Essentials course. Your changes stick and they last. Grab the link in the description and get started today. Okay, and we are back. We're here talking with Lily Avalon and Bill McKenna. And we ended with that Lily had some Snow White moments when she was in San Diego. Does that happen to you often, Lily? And did you not realize that raccoons are not pets?
Yeah, that was a little bit of an ignorant moment for me because I thought raccoons were kind of like they're the sorts of things that hang around houses, so they must be friendly. I just thought they were like cute trash cats. And yeah, I was very surprised when Bill had an odd look on his face going, what do you mean you patted a raccoon? Because it came up to the door and I thought, oh, hello. And I opened it and it didn't run away. So I thought, oh, they must be friendly. And yeah, so I got an apple for it and cute little hands grabbed a little apple and yeah, we had a nice moment. And it was a beautiful place with the Airbnb. yes, it does happen quite a lot. I guess because also my dad was a zoologist in Australia. So I spent a lot of time around animals.
When you obviously have that energy that they are comfortable coming up to you, because that is a rare thing. I mean, there are domesticated raccoons, but it's not normal. It's not a normal thing, and not usually in this city. So that is a cool thing. So, Bill, what stories were you wanting Lily to tell? Because I know she's got a million.
Hey, Lily, can you just tell us some of the stories that impacted you the most as you went through your journey of your practitioner training? And you applied everything. So tell us what you saw and tell us what the impact of it was.
Oh gosh, I have so many stories. I was lucky enough to be able to practice cogno movement on most of my willing clients who I've already established relationships with. So I would pretty much tack on cogno movement to any therapy that I did for them. So I have a lot of stories, and they're all pretty amazing. Like, there's not a single one that I wasn't just going, oh my God, this is like life-changing or just incredible to see, like miracles every time. So I think the one that I truly love is the one that I've spoken to you about before, where this lovely lady comes in who's a nurse, and she had a horrific vomit reflex. So gagging every time she ever smelt strong BO, every time she ever smelt meat or seafood or any kind of feces, like dog poo on the street, so bad breath, etc. So every time, without fail, if she got a whiff of a bad smell, she would just endlessly gag, and sometimes it would turn into vomiting. So it was a real problem for her, being a nurse especially. She was brilliant, very smart, but just could not find a solution to solving this problem. And so she came to me, and I had recently done the craving sets, so learning how to change people's desires for food, alcohol, cigarettes, etc. And I thought, well, if we can do that, maybe we can reverse the repulsion for something as well. And so we started doing cogno movement, just thinking about bad smells. And of course, I had already pre-warned her, you're probably going to think about it and start gagging. And so I'm moving the ball around, and I found some spots in her vision where it would get really intense for her. And we started clearing those. And a lot of memories came up for her. And they, like staying out of the story, I was expecting, it must have been, she trod in a dog poo and got something or blah, blah, blah. It turned out it was what seems to be a minor incident, but it was a really big thing for her nervous system as a child. She had her parents and her older sister about 20 meters away from her in a shopping market. And she was very upset at about age 6, this was. And she had to run past a whole lot of meat being on display in this market. And the smell was really intense while she was really upset and feeling very distanced from her family. And that was the first time it ever happened for her. And then on top of that, all of these different memories stacked on it. So being in seafood markets, smelling certain people. And we managed to clear that with cognitive movement once she made the realizations that, that's where it comes from, and cleared some of the emotional responses. I decided that we would go to a fish market straight after the session and trial whether or not she would gag. So she and I marched down to the fish market, and I was gagging. It was so bad in there. I had my cogno ball and she stepped in, and she had this big smile on her face, and she's going, don't really smell anything that bad. It seems pretty fresh in here. And I'm going, I need to do cogno on this. So then she spent the next after that session and the next 24 hours going around sniffing bad things, and she no longer had the gag reflex. problem and the vomiting. So she's just been making leaps and bounds. She messaged me about 2 days afterwards and said, I never realized how much anxiety that had put on every interaction she had. She worried all of the time that she would be in a position where she would start to vomit. So she always had this level of preempted anxiety going into new situations, going into shops, meeting people, or even clients when she was doing nursing, worrying that they would set off this vomiting. And so for her, that change, it really was only an hour and a half session, just dropped her level of anxiety in her daily life she was so much freer. It was such a beautiful experience to watch. And I found it incredibly amusing because I stayed out of the story, let it do its thing. We found all of the reasons that it was there, and managed to shift it quite quickly. So that was a really enjoyable. And of course I came away just bouncing up and down, being like, oh my God, this is incredible. Because in psychology, they would be doing, gradual exposure therapy or big long chats with CBT or how to control it. And it just needed her to go back and have a look what was actually creating it.
But it's so interesting because really what it is the system went into fight or flight in a moment when her brain development and whatever her body was experiencing, the fear, her age, all of that added up to bad smells equal, I'm probably going to die or I'm going to be left. Right.
Yeah.
And there's often such small moments like this that you would never imagine it would create something bigger in life. But there it is. The nervous system learns and then just makes assumptions based on that. Right. And I can't imagine really for her how freeing that has to be, because as a nurse, you smell all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
And I can imagine a bit the anxiety that would happen when you're afraid that any minute of every day, you might have this unprofessional moment of gagging or vomiting because of a nasty smell. And for people listening, you think, oh, that's not that big of a problem. But for her, I can imagine it really, really would have been life limiting.
Yeah, it was. And she's just it's really made her feel so much more confident in her life and her career, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing for for anybody. But I'm just so happy that she was able to come to those conclusions herself and clear that. All I did basically was just follow whatever the nervous system wanted to do, and support that through the process. Yeah. And she's come back a few times, and we've made some wonderful changes in her aversions to fruit and vegetables. So now she loves them. And that, again, was the most random reason for it was her mum forced her to eat a banana while everyone else was watching television, and she didn't like bananas. So it then grew into other vegetables and fruits. And yeah. So she's making leaps and bounds in life with this.
That is life-changing. So is she herself shocked at these things?
Yeah, she is. I remember she was so angry at banana during the session. And I'm just backtracking, being like, that banana. She's like, that fucking banana. Excuse my language. And she goes, and then halfway through, it goes back to an emotion about her mother, and she looked up at me and she goes, it's not the banana, is it? I'm like, it's not the banana. Turned out to be the emotional reaction around her mother and feeling that isolation as well. So it was very cool, very, very cool. And I would have never picked that as the solution to the problem.
Right. And did you feel a little bit like a superhero?
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
That's a big secret that nobody tells you. Like when you learn the cognitive movement skills and you really, you're really not doing all that much. If someone were to watch it, it doesn't look like it. You're really doing a lot, but and have the outcomes where it changes someone's life so dramatically in such a short time, you do feel a bit like a superhero, right,
Yeah.
Bill? Don't you think?
It is. And that's why, when we started this episode, I was just saying it just feels so darn good. Being a superhero feels good. You're uplifting somebody in ways that just are impossible. My gosh, Lily, can you give us one more? We only got a couple minutes, but your stories are so good. Give us another one.
Absolutely. I'm just trying to think of. Oh, actually, I do have a really, really cool one that is quite close to my heart because she's a dear friend as well as a client. She is an amazing musician, like the voice of an angel. She'll just, if she's playing at a pub or a cafe, everybody goes quiet to listen to her for the entire time. She just captivates people. And she plays guitar. She's got these amazing vintage guitars. And she came to me one day and said, I've just got this real problem. Every time I go and play guitar, especially in public, I get horrific neck and back aches. My hand feels horrible. I start to then go numb in my toes. That shouldn't be the case, and her posture was good. She was a very healthy, fit lady. And so I thought, okay, well, let's try cognitive movement with this. It's both physical and something else might be going on in there too. And we started the process of doing cognitive movement, and I found that she had this huge concussion where she was looking to play guitar, where her fingers went. And then on the other side, there was another concussion as well. So her eyes were just not tracking in this area. They would just go whoop and glitch and just nothing was there. And when we started to clear it, all these memories came back for her that she'd completely forgotten about a car. She'd been hit by a car. And it turned out that she had been hit by the car on her head here, and her eyes had gone directly where the guitar was. So basically where she holds the guitar was where she looked when she got hit by a car. And so her brain and her nervous system still was in a protective mode. It didn't want to look there because she had experienced this horrible trauma. And all of these other memories started to come up that she hated being seen, because when the car hit her, a lot of school children and a lot of her peers and teachers were all watching this car crash where she'd been hit by a car. And so she felt incredible embarrassment, and she was uncomfortable when she looked over here and people were watching. And so it was affecting her guitar playing and her ability to perform in front of other people. She'd managed to kind of hide it for many, many years, but she'd always get pains and feel uncomfortable. And so we managed to clear a lot of that in her vision and bring it back into nice, smooth eye movement. And then her guitar playing became better. So she was able to look at the guitar, and her fingers a lot better, where it moved quicker. Her neck didn't hurt as much when she was playing. And the added bonus was that a lot of her emotions around being watched while playing guitar became much more positive. She didn't feel so uncomfortable with everybody watching her. So that was really, really incredible to sit and facilitate. Yeah, but I would never have guessed that was because she looked that direction when being hit by a car.
Oh my gosh, that is an amazing, amazing story. How so juicy. And I'm sure such a massive relief for her, this thing that she loves to do, and to have less pain and be able to perform and all of that. Amazing, amazing, Lily. All right. So share with everybody, if they wanted to come and have a session with you, how would they do it? How would they reach you?
Yeah, so I have a website, spiritintermediary.com. So you can make bookings online. I offer Zoom sessions with Cogno Movement now, and also other modalities for healing. I also have a clinic, as I mentioned, in West End in Brisbane. So you can book online and come in for an in-person session as well.
Well, and we couldn't recommend it more. I think that anybody having a session with you would have a beautiful time. Like Bill said, it'd be so much fun just to hang out with you, but really get some massive change. So that is spiritintermediary.com, and it will be /Cognomovement to find out about Lily's Cognomovement offerings, but she does so much more. So thank you so much for being here with us, Lily, and for being in our lives. Bill and I just love having you as a new friend and a new part of our family.
I'm very grateful as well. It's been a beautiful, beautiful thing for me to become part of the Cogno Movement family.
All right, Bill, we got to go. Thanks for being here this week.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye, Lily.
Bye.
Everybody in UK Health Radio Land, until next week, be safe and be well.